Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, if you like futures because of the tight spreads and clear setups, go check out Blue Guardian Futures. They let you start trading futures with up to $450k in funding. The best part, you keep 100% of your first $15k in profits, then 90% after that. No activation fees, weekly payouts, and they're sponsoring Chris Eubank Jr. and Birmingham City FC. Go take a look at blueguardianfutures.com or click the link in the description.
What's going on, guys? This is Brinks Trades coming to you live with another week of breakdowns. So everybody's having a great trading week, or had a great trading week, and is having a good weekend. I wanted to come on here really quickly and basically break down the charts like I always do for you guys. Again, if you aren't familiar with me, again, my name is Brinks Trades. I've been a day trader for about a decade, and I am the resident indices analyst for the Trading Nut podcast. So every week I come on here, break down charts, give you all the breakdowns for what I think is going to happen next week in the markets, and just kind of get back to the trading community in that sense. So what I want to do is, what I usually do is break down all the indice pairs as well as some of the major currency charts. We talk about Euro, GBP, NASDAQ, etc. Me personally, I started out in the Forex industry trading about 10 years ago. Made a transition to futures a few years ago. Still trade a lot of currencies and indices, but right now I kind of bounce back and forth between just those major assets as well as some of the other assets that people trade, as in gold and things like that too. So I come on here on a weekly basis and break down all the charts, and then really give you guys a really good understanding of what to expect for the next week. Again, I also have a trading community called the Talented 10th Trading. That is my personal mentorship group, as well as a free community. Really two sides to that community as well, free side and a paid side, but really a place where people who are looking to become traders can go and really just obviously learn strategy if they need it, but also really be in a community where they can be motivated and inspired by all that trading that's going on in that world. As traders, we know that this industry is very it's hard, right? And it's not an easy path to go solo. So having a community always helps, right? So again, wherever people are calling in from, I love to see where people are calling in from. So go ahead and drop drop a comment and what city you're calling in from. I think it's pretty cool too. This call is a really cool call. Again, shout out to the Trading Nut podcast. If you guys haven't watched, I did another interview with the Trading Nut podcast not too long ago. Check that out on their page. But basically just another interview following up from the one that I did initially 2 years ago, which actually got me to the point where we were broadcasting live on their channel to begin with. So again, hopefully everybody enjoys this breakdown, but let's go ahead and get into it. So I like to start with dollar analysis. You guys know, if you guys have been watching me for more than a week, you know that I always start with dollar, because dollar is the currency pair. Is the overarching underlying asset that kind of supports all currency pairs and indices as well. So if you understand where dollar is going and have a good understanding of that, you can probably make a good educated guess as to what you think the market is going to do for this next week. Right. Obviously, we're not 100% all the time, but, having a good working proficiency based on some standard concepts helps a lot. So coming into the week, again, on dollar, right, we had a few things we wanted to see. This week was a really good week for setups. I think I had about at least 2 or 3 good setups for at least 2 or 3 grand a piece this week. So this was a really good week setup wise. If we look at dollar index, there's a couple things we wanted to see. Obviously, we've been bouncing in and around this volume imbalance here at 97.20 and 96.61. So that zone is the zone that we've been bouncing around with for the last couple of weeks, really, pretty much since the beginning of June or mid-June. And so even though we've retraced from this level, we're still very much in a bearish market here. And so I don't want to project the market to really run any lower or run any higher because we're still very much in a technical downtrend, right? We're still hitting lower lows and lower highs. We haven't broken any structure on the weekly. And so I wanted to see a couple things happen this week. And I really thought potentially we could run up and maybe potentially grab one of these levels of buy side before we started running down again. And we didn't get that. We didn't run up and take these, but we did still have a bearish week. So again, sometimes when you're looking at your targets for the week, I would usually have a pullback target and a target where I think the market's going to go for the final, like the end of the week. And sometimes you don't always get the pullback target, but you do tend to get the weekly range most of the time. So jumping on the daily time frame, we're very much still bearish here. A couple things I want to note is how we are respecting consequent encroachment of this overall volume imbalance here at 96.87. So that level there is a level that I am noting, but I'm still bearish here, right? We came back up here. We formed the high the week on Wednesday of last week. And then rejected it. We didn't even go up here and attack liquidity. So this is still a good sign. Ideally, I'm seeing that what I want to see here is still the market really to continue to go bearish, right? Obviously, we are getting some rejections from this level, but I can't officially say it's time for a bullish trend until we start breaking levels, taking out old highs like this. So until then, I have to stick with the bearish bias. So I want to see something like this play out for this week. Again, I want to see the high formed and us pretty much trade away for that for the rest of the week. So ideally, coming up to this fair value gap here at 97.75 and really starting to find reasons to continue to go lower. Again, I'm going to be targeting a couple levels. The low of last week here, consequent encroachment at 96.90, and then the overall low of this trend, which is sitting there. So 2 levels for this week, depending on the markets and depending on what the market looks like, we could see those. I'm trying to remember if NFP is this week or not. We'll check that out in a second, but say target 1 here. And then target 2 will be the low, the overarching low here, which is 96.0. Just call 96 on the dot. So very, very much bearish. Again, I still will leave these levels up just in case, but ideally, if we take out this high right here, I'm going to call this my fail-safe level. If you guys have watched before, you understand that my fail-safe level, quote unquote, it's basically just a level that if this price gets taken out, my price level gets taken out, then my idea is no longer valid, and I'm probably going to start thinking the other way. So I want to see the market potentially come here and then start to reject and continue to go lower. We could see a run up here. It could wick above this level, right? But ideally, I want to see the market, at minimum, come here and continue to go down. But at worst case scenario, take out that high and then continue to go lower. It needs to close below it. So that is dollar analysis. I'm going to go to the comment section really quickly. So we got some people calling in from Zambia. That's awesome. So again, this is a global call, right? So anytime I'm on here, I see people from the United States, I see people from Latin America, I see people from Australia. Obviously, Cam is based in New Zealand. I think it's New Zealand or Australia, one of those two. So it's really cool to see people, from all over the world hop on these calls and really just, obviously learn. Again, if y'all want to do me a favor, what y'all can do is go to Brinks Trades, the YouTube channel, right? Subscribe to that if you're not already a member of that channel, if you're not watching this on that channel. And then, stay tuned for any future videos that I upload. Again, I do a lot of content, both on social, both on YouTube, and then obviously in the Discord as well. So lock in with me in all those places, right? And stay locked in with all the content that I put out. So, what I want to do is go to Euro. Let's go to Euro. And Euro was a really fun trade this week. There was a series of trades that I took. I didn't swing on Euro. I'm not really much of a swing trader. I'm trying to get better at it, to be honest. But really the trading style that you take on, whether it's swing trading or spot trading or like position trading, day trading, whatever, scalping even, it's really based around your temperament in the market. And for me, I've day traded so long where usually I'm in a position out by the end of the day or out by the end of the session. Sometimes I hold overnight, right? But like that long-term swing trading is not what I usually do. So there's a couple things that happened this past week. First and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up some of all this up. Again, I say this every week, but if your trading mentor does not have dirty charts when you come to the charts, he probably is not a trader, or she's probably not trading. She probably is just trying to sell y'all a course. I really do this. I genuinely make more money from day trading than I do actually teaching people, and I love that because it means I'm authentic. So really, coming into Monday, again, I thought potentially we would maybe take out the low, trade back in here one more time, and then go higher. But really, what inevitably happened is we, formed our low for the week, traded back down to the high end of this fair value gap here, and pretty much spent 5 consecutive days retracing up. There was a lot of really clean setups in this run to this week, and I loved taking advantage of a lot of that stuff. There was a lot of clean setups in this, even starting with Monday, Tuesday's trade, coming back down to the low of the day, taking things higher. Again, I'm not going to get into the individual trades that I took, but I call everything out in the Discord in the lab section. Again, if you're a mentorship member, we go live a few times a week, or I'm usually calling out trade setups and what I see the market. And Euro is just a really clean one this past week. So what are we looking at right now? So ideally, if we go back to the weekly time frame or the daily time frame, we're still pretty much in this run, right? This is our overall target, our buy side liquidity level that is sitting here at, let's call it 1.18935. That's the level that we're going to be watching for the next few weeks. Or really the next week. I think maybe we might hit this next week. But this is our long-term target right now. Again, when we saw this trend line liquidity build up, we pretty much kind of figured that this was something that could get taken out. It was just very clean. And usually when it's that clean, it's very obvious. It's usually telling us the market wants to head up that way. So what am I going to be looking for this week? If we go back to that daily time frame, again, we can see that the market has really tried to take things lower on Friday. I thought for sure on Friday we were going to potentially have a very long-term retracement, maybe even start going back down again, only because, we were starting to see a lot of rejections from this level. So I thought maybe we might even come back down to this fair value gap, but we closed still inside, still respecting that 4-hour fair value gap right there. So what do I want to see this week? I want to see us get back on top of this fair value gap and really start going higher. This 4-hour BISC right here is pretty much what we've been trading off of. You can see that we are getting some counter trend pressure. We did come back and run these lows, but we still are staying inside of this secondary 4-hour fair value gap, right? So a lot of zones and a lot of things that we're respecting. Again, if you're not familiar with any of these concepts, there's a lot of resources, especially, talented 10 trading, that can help you learn the charts as I'm seeing them. So again, looking at this zone right here, I want to see the market again get back to the high of this, stay above this fair value gap, and start really attacking last week's high on the way to our overall high here. We have about 100 pips of range here, which it could be a really good setup. At least one or two, right? Especially if we catch the right trend. So ideally what I want to see is the market come back down, maybe even retest the low end of this fair value gap here. I'm going to put the sell side here. I'm going to measure sell side here, or not measure, but label sell side here. But also I want to see if the market will do a couple of things, right? The first thing is, can we get back to a bullish structure, at least in the H4 time frame? Daily time frame, we're still very much bullish, but I want to see the market stay bullish. And just the fact that we've closed, we tried to retest these wicks, really close below, going towards the top end of this 4-hour fair value gap. I see the market wanting to go back higher. We did run sell side between this low and this low, so that could act as a catalyst for us to continue just straight up going into next week. The one thing I'm waiting for is just a 4-hour break in structure. I want to see the market get back to that, and we really would. If we can take out this high right here, it's going to be my break of structure level. But ideally, I want to see that level respected or disrespected. So anything above really this high here, I'll start looking for opportunities to go long again, but just need to see that play out before we start looking long and thinking long again. We are getting some good bullish structure on the smaller time frames here. I usually don't go this low, but just to kind of give you guys an example, I want to see again these markets run higher. So that's what I'm going to be looking for again. Sometimes I like to pull out GBP just to see if the market structure looks any different. And this is totally different market structure right now. Totally different. But could present us with opportunities to go long. Right now, again, I'm still bullish on this just because there's not really a weekly or daily break in market structure. I don't see anything as of, well, it's kind of choppy. I would say I don't think I would call this a break in structure until we got below this level here, below this fair value gap, only because there's a lot of gaps in this run. If I go to Euro USD or GBP USD, I wonder if it looks any different. Nah. You can see that GBP is kind of struggling to get above this high. So we could be setting ourselves up for a bearish trend. If I look at the daily here, it's telling you two totally different stories on Euro and GBP USD. So I'm actually going to not put GBP on the watch list for this week. I think what's going on with GBP and dollar and euro looks a lot similar, and I think GBP is kind of doing its own thing this week, so I'm not going to pay as much attention to that. Again, that's why I do the analysis on dollar, because I want to see what happens if we how these currency pairs especially are reacting to the dollar, and are they maintaining the relationship they're supposed to have. So that's the first thing. So let's go to NASDAQ. There's a couple things that I saw on NASDAQ. Again, we ended up taking out our target, which was this all-time high here that was formed really on Friday. Our Friday target was this level here. We spent the entire week pretty much trading above this high. Again, NASDAQ is one of those tricky ones where it's hard to, you can't really short this, right? You shouldn't really be looking to short NASDAQ ever, just because it's an investment vehicle, right? So it's meant to go higher. So even if you do see the market start to retrace and go lower, you really should be looking for higher opportunities. So again, there's not much here. I'm probably not going to pay as much attention to this one this week, only because we are trading so close to our high. Now we are going to keep making higher highs at the point of NASDAQ, but as from a trading perspective and a liquidity perspective, I can only really project where I think the market's going to go based on where we think liquidity is currently resting. And right now, it's trendline liquidity building right there. I see this as our weekly target. Best case scenario, we would come back down, maybe run this low, and then go higher. It's not what I'm really paying attention to this week, only because we're so close to the high of the week, and I think Euro is actually going to present a better setup again. I told my students this past week, but when you find a higher time frame setup, a daily, a weekly setup, and it's playing out in your favor, that's going to give you days and weeks of good setups. So you got to take advantage of those while you can. Let me just looking at some other pairs really quickly. Again, I say this all the time, but I don't actually look at the charts until I come to the terminal each week. So this is my first time seeing things since markets have closed, just like it is for everybody else. So let me see. Well, let me look at gold. Gold has been in a range for the last really few weeks. I have not looked and seen what is going on currently, but we'll talk about it. So gold is really in this range between this high and this low. It's a lot of consolidation. Notice we came up, took this high, rejected. We did it twice, and we're ranging right now. Broke structure here. This is a mess. Gold is something I'm going to stay away from because there's no rhyme or reason here. If you really look closely, you can actually see, though, we're kind of building a kind of like a wedge pattern. And usually, like if I just get rid of all this, you guys can see. Usually, I don't really trade wedge patterns or wedge breakouts, but I will say that like being able to like identify them lets me know that the market is really running towards some level of liquidity here. So, or trying to consolidate. And sometimes one of the hardest things for me, at least as a trader, when I first started, was recognizing when the markets are consolidating as it was happening, right? It's easy to see it in retrospect, right? Like you can see the markets are clearly getting, the highs are getting lower, the lows are getting higher. But one of the things that it took for me to like really understand and see this in real time was just, being able to kind of draw these little wedge patterns and things like that. And so stuff like this would help me kind of like stay out of the market because I could see that the market's consolidating. And it is obviously going to break out again. It's the point, right? We're always going to run towards liquidity. But right now, this is like higher time frame consolidation. Also, knowing that we are going into the last week of the month, that could set us up for a daily retracement. So I actually want to go back to euro really quickly, and I might want to correct myself on this because knowing that we are on the monthly time frame, we pretty much spent the high going. We've already kind of formed the high of the week or high of the month on this on euro. We could see a retracement back into the range, right? We could see just this week just being something very chill. So I do want to preface that as well, that usually the last weeks of the month are usually going to be the weeks where we're just kind of trading back into the range. This month has been a really slow month volatility-wise. This has really just been, like all of July has really been this. Really haven't done anything. So I do want to make that disclaimer that we could be seeing a counter trend week based on the overall week monthly range. And if that's the case, I will be on the lookout for that as well. But just right now, what we have, this looks very bullish. So would not be surprised if we come out right out of the gate and hit bullishness. So let's go to ES. Same thing here. I'm actually going to cross ES off the checklist because we're just trading at the all-time high. Again, we're thinking monthly time frame. We do want to see this keep going higher. But this week we could see a counter trend, and we're trading at the very high end of the monthly range. So I do potentially expect we might come back. Maybe we could even end up at this fair value gap, right? But we could be very bearish this week. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come out, run the highs, and then go lower. But again, at the same time, I'm also not going to be looking to trade that because, trying to trade a bearish trend on indices, especially right now when the market is really running higher, that's not smart. You don't want to short this. You don't want to try and catch a falling knife. So really, again, euro is still the currency that I'm really interested in the most. In a normal week, I'm bullish, right? But again, because this is the last week of the month, we could see, a very short-term counter trend week. We could see something very aggressive towards the beginning of the week where the market runs up, forms the high, and then spends the rest of the week trading away from that in the range and kind of closes the week out. Again, just remember that when we are trading counter trend weeks or these last weeks of the month, again, just like a candle closes with a wick, these weekly candles are also going to close with a wick, and these monthly candles will also close with a wick. So be very careful when you're trading this week. And, again, I would say as we get to the later half of the week, me personally, I'm not going to be looking for anything that's going to continue on with my bearish idea. If this is the high of the month right here on Euro, then maybe this is just the high of the month as well. It's not going to get taken out. Or if it doesn't get taken out, maybe by the half of the week, then I might start looking for just bearish setups for the rest of the week. So, or just stay out, just call it a week. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about on charts. Again, in theory, I'm bearish on dollar, bullish on euro. We will accommodate for the last week of the month kind of phenomenon that happens there. So I will be watching that too. So if I don't see any strong bullish setups there, I'm just not going to take it for me personally. So because I don't want to trade counter trend. It's just my personal belief. Like, 'cause I know some people are really good with trading counter trends, but me personally, I'm not that. Like, I'll catch them every now and then, but it's just how my eye sees the charts is just a little different. So Sammy says, good evening, sir. I want to be part of you. I hope you're talking about my group. If you're talking about that, then it's Talented 10th trading.com. So visit that website. It'll take you to a link to my actual website where you can see and join at least the free side of the Discord, right? So in that, you don't get access to everything, right? So there's a WAP page where you have a lot of, I teach my course head to toe, right? Like beginning to end. It's for the mentorship members, the paid members, as well as our chat where I'm breaking down trades actively each week. So Ron says just came in. What card is that? I think you're saying what chart, but let me do this. I realized that my charts don't do the thing anymore. So I want this. I want the ticker. So this is 6E1. This is Euro futures. Basically the same thing as Euro USD, right? So we pretty much went through everything. Again, when it comes to dollar, I'm bearish on dollar. Again, ideally with this last week of the month, I want to see if the market will obviously keep going down. That's what we want to see. But we could be experiencing a counter trend week just again because we're wrapping the month up. So keep that in mind. ES, I'm bullish on this, but again, last week of the month, we could see us run the high very early in the week and then trade away from that for the rest of the week. NASDAQ, same idea, right? We are bullish. We are holding a bullish bias, but this could just be a counter trend week. Euro, same idea. We're bullish, but again, we want to kind of see what the week is hitting for. I'm going to look at news in a second, but bullishness is our expected bias where we're playing into. But again, keeping in mind last week of the month and a bullish month is usually counter trend. So if we don't see the market really run aggressively for this high at the beginning of the week, we could be in the mood for a bearish week. So it's things that I'm going to be watching out for. Gold, not trading this at all. This is, removing all of my concepts and all of the kind of the principles that I tie in with the smart money and things like that. This is just a simple wedge pattern. It's consolidating. It's not doing anything. And we really need to see the market break out and go lower before, or start running on liquidity, giving us some manipulation, some distribution before we take things higher. So ideally, that's what I want to see the market do across a lot of these pairs. And then GBP also is just something that I'm going to probably stay away from this week. We came up here, we took this high, and then we pretty much we haven't really fully broken structure, but we've just been kind of ranging. And I don't like that. I don't like consolidation because consolidation is set up for something else. If you jump to the higher time frames, though, again, if I hide my markings, you can see that the market is really, it almost looks like it's broken structure, but the market really gapped down there. and then went higher. It traded back into this fair value gap. So as long as this fair value gap is being respected, I still consider this a bullish trend, even though it kind of looks like a broken market structure is chopping around. It's kind of what I'm seeing. So that's what I'm looking for. And I think that's everything. So going back to the chat, again, if you guys have questions, feel free to be a part of that. Is ES Euro Index? ES is actually the S&P. So ES is US500. Basically, if you're an international trader or a Forex trader, it's the same thing as S&P. You might see it referred to as US 500 or S&P 500, SPX, right? Like these are all the same thing. So again, I kind of organize everything on my charts, if you guys can see, but ES, MES, US 500, they're all the same thing, right? All the same thing. If I pull up this chart, it looks very similar. They all look the same. YM is the only one that I didn't do, so let me touch on that right now. YM is Dow Jones. You might hear it referred to as Dow Jones, or US30 if you're an international trader. This is an easy one to call. If we go to last week, what we wanted to see is the market really trade back down into this gap and then go higher. That was the ideal scenario. We didn't get as low as I thought we were going to go, but we did. We kind of ran up and took this high. So we got some equal highs here. I want to see the market like really push through this week. I wouldn't even be surprised if we gapped up and ran through this pretty early in the week. This market is kind of looking like it's setting itself up for a counter trend week where we kind of push and take highs earlier. Even going back to Euro, if I go to 6E1 again, Euro futures, same thing as Euro USD. You can see this wick here, really kind of taking out the last previous day's lows, and then potentially running higher. Off of this, I could see us having a very bullish Monday or bullish Tuesday, right? Which could set us up for us hitting this target very early in the week and then reversing off that for the rest of the week. But again, I try not to over project because the market still has to play itself out. So you got to react to what's being seen there and not what you want to see. And that's kind of like one of the hardest things is being a trader. So, let's see. So what else? So yeah, back to Talented 10th. Again, that's my trading community. If you hop in there, you go to talented10trading.com. And I'll drop the link in here one more time. Oops. Talented 10th trading.com. Right. So that's ideally what I want to see the market really run. I'm sorry. Well, if you go there, you can see basically, I can actually click the link, but it takes you to two things. It takes you to our community. So I'm going to share this tab instead. You should be able to see talented10trading.com. And you should be able to go to any of the, if you're in the free Discord, which I'll show you here, you can have access to the general chat and you can see a lot of the things like testimonials, some of the gains, some of the wins. Shout out to Tony for passing his challenge this past week. That was really cool to watch. Some of the trades that I call out on the, or take, right? You can see the results of those here, right? As well as, again, questions tab for any questions, trade recaps, general chat where people are talking. I'm usually in here talking a lot, showing things off or taking people's questions and stuff like that. If you are in the lab, this is the mentorship group, you can basically see me call these trades out as they happen, right? So I spent a lot of time this past week on Euro. That was really the cleanest setup here. You can see here, I was calling these things out pretty much on a daily, and not for trade signals. I don't offer signals. I'm never going to tell you this is where you enter, this is where you get out. I'm going to give you the overall idea because I'm very much a believer in teaching a man how to fish, right? And so I want you to be able to understand how to do this yourself, because I don't want you to be dependent on a trader. But you can see some of these trades that I've taken this past week. There was a really good week. This was Euro futures again. I had about 2 or 3 really good setups on Euro futures. I think anywhere ranging from 1,600 to the last trade that I took this past week was see, this one was morning back at it, but the last trade I took this past week was for a $3,000 win on Euro futures here. You guys can see that right there. On my personal account, everything that I'm doing right now is on live accounts on my actual personal trading account. Again, I'm not trading funded right now, but I am fully funded with a lot of firms, Apex, Top Step, etc. Yeah, right now I'm doing an account build. I want to show people that you can build with your own money and you don't necessarily need a prop firm to do it. It's just one avenue. When I first came into trading, this was all we knew. Like we just funded our own personal accounts. Prop firms came out maybe like 5-6 years ago, and they've obviously changed the way that people trade. But I feel like people are very dependent on these, and sometimes the parameters that the prop firms have are not always the best for traders as well too. So it takes a very disciplined trader to succeed at prop firms, but they are really good training tools for when you do take your own money. I would say if you're learning how to trade, you definitely should be using a prop firm. It's cheaper, right? If you blow $1,000 on a prop account, it might be like $5 or $10 or $30 of your own money versus 1,000 actual dollars. And so if you are not confident in your strategy, can't execute your strategy in very tight parameters, then maybe you're not ready to trade live yet. But when you do get there, there's a lot. Being able to execute on a personal account is awesome because, again, no more time passing challenges, right? You don't have to worry about making $3,000 account on the account before you pass to have to make more money to do it. So it's good. If you're going to scale and you want to make a lot of money from prop firms, or a lot of money trading in general, like the most money probably still comes from prop firms because you still have access to a lot of capital. If you have a set number in mind, right? You're trying to make, I don't know, maybe like $1,000 in a trade or $2,000 in a trade or whatever it is, then maybe having a personal account might be better, right? So it's just kind of what your goals are. But while you're learning, definitely take advantage of the prop firms. I'm reading a lot of reports about how the government might regulate these. There might be some changes coming, which is kind of well welcomed, at least in the US, at least. So there might be some more kind of like parameters and things put on them to make them more compliant. But let me go to these right here. Let me go to. Let me go back to the comment section. Trisco says, hello guys, what's up? And then also too, so if you're interested in becoming part of Talented 10th, again, there's two real options here. Again, this is my kind of website. When you go there, join the free Discord, you upgrade to the mentorship. Again, that free mentorship gets you access to the chat. You can see kind of the stuff that I talk about on a daily basis. You also can see again some of the wins that people have had and things like that, and get access to some of that. You can message me directly. It's probably the easiest place to find me is on Talented 10th in the Discord. Shoot me a message. But then once you get access to the paid, you get the course where I break down everything. It's like at least 20 or 30 videos, I believe. It might be a little bit more or less than that, but around that number of videos where I break down everything that I see on the charts, how I go about with very fundamental building blocks, all the way to being able to put everything together for a trade. And then also you get access to the lab where we break down everything. So there's a lot of resources in there that traders can take advantage of. Oops. Going back to the Discord. Boom, right there. Oops. I joined a lot of Discords over the past few years just to see what people's setups look like and things like that, how to structure things. But anyway, so yeah, so this is the Discord again. Once again, you get access to pretty much everything there that we called out. And again, you see me in there most days, at least at minimums, throwing screenshots. But a lot of times I do go live and call trades out and walk people through, because again, once you can see things live or see things in recording, I think that access, that kind of clears a lot of the gaps that people have in their head when it comes to trading too. So that's all I have for you guys. Again, if you're interested, find me on social media. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly was the Ron R said on the that was weird. That was weird. Okay, if you guys can hear me, let me know. I'm not sure what happened there, but I just want to look at dollar index really quickly. We'll call it. So he said there was a weekly fair value gap. I think that's the one that I called out that price is reaching for. There's a weekly fair value gap on DX that price seems to be reaching for. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Oh, right there. Right there. I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, it could. Ideally, I'm still bearish though. So we did come up and reject from this order block. So I do want this to, and just so you guys can see what he's talking about, the fair value gap, the CIVI or the BISI from that low to that high. I want to see the market really reject that and get through that. If I zoom in, again, if your charts aren't dirty, it's usually because you're not trading. So remember that when you're looking for a mentor. I think he's talking about this fair value gap right here, the market's respecting. Ideally, I want this market to continue to reject. Now, again, we are bearish long term, but again, remember that we are going to the last week of the month, so we could see a counter trend. So ideally, I'm not going to go too heavy on any positions, but that ideally is something I want to see inverted in a normal scenario. Maybe even this week, we might dip down here one more time and it might be a bearish or a very consolidated week. And then next week is when we start running back down lower again. It could happen like that. But I'm still bearish until we take out this high. That's basically what I said there. Is this my fail-safe levels that when price closes above this high, it's going to kind of invalidate the setup for me. So hopefully that answers that question. So again, that's all I got for you guys. So hope you guys have a good rest of the week. Good trading week. Hope you had a great trading week this past week. Again, for people like Sammy who want to know how to teach my strategy or how to learn my strategy, go to that and join. I would say if you want to learn directly from me, go join the paid mentorship group. And it teaches everything. Again, a series of videos. Learn from me directly. We also do a Sunday call every Sunday where I help you guys with anything you're struggling with. It's a lot of value in there. I mean, a lot of time, a lot of value for what I'm, basically providing. And to the end of July, I'm basically doing a 50% off of the Discord. So anybody that joins, normally it's $99 or 90, something like $99 a month. This month it's going to be for the rest of this month, it's just going to be $49. So $49 a month gets you access to all those things, plus me as a mentor where you can help, I can help you on, the weekend calls, obviously in live trading sessions in the Discord. So it's a really tight, community and course as well that you guys can have access to. So there's a lot of value being provided for not that much at all. So hopefully you guys enjoy that and take advantage. If you have any questions, join me at Brinks Trades. And you can find me there. So hopefully you guys have a good week, and I'll see you on the next one. So peace.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, if you like futures because of the tight spreads and clear setups, go check out Blue Guardian Futures. They let you start trading futures with up to $450k in funding. The best part, you keep 100% of your first 15k in profits, then 90% after that. No activation fees, weekly payouts, and they're sponsoring Chris Eubank Jr. and Birmingham City FC. Go take a look at blueguardianfutures.com or click the link in the description.